thank you so much for joining us today and welcome you into Aspire to Retire with Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart of Welcome Home Financial Partners. You can find them online, find out more about the team, and schedule a time to speak with them if you like at welcomehomefp.com. We've made it real easy for you. If you just open up the podcast description, there's a link right there. It'll take you straight to the website, welcomehomefp.com. My name is Chris Swan, and I'm pleased to be joined by the one and only Ralph Short, Tim Short, and Scott Earhart. Gentlemen, glad to be with you. How are you?
Doing great. Chris, how are you?
Doing very well, thank you. There is a magic number, allegedly, when it comes to retirement savings, and that has swelled to an all-time high. A new study by Northwestern found that Americans estimate they should have $1.46 million for a comfortable retirement. I've seen another survey that said $1.8 million. So here's the problem. Regardless of what that number is, if it's 1.46, 1.8, a lot of the people who answered are also worried that they're not going to be able to reach that number. So do you think focusing on a balance like that is a mistake when it comes to retirement planning?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question. I think, it's never a bad thing to have accumulation goals.
Sure.
When you're striving towards retirement, if you have a number that you want to hit to, but that magic number, whatever it may be for the individual, is not the end all be all. And that's what I love about our retirement roadmap process, because when we get into retirement, it's not about this big pot of money. It's about the income that you have to live the lifestyle you want to lead. So why the roadmap is there is to show you what your income is going to look like in retirement, and does that match your lifestyle? So it's not about a big number. It's about living your life. And one key thing that I mean, you could have $20 million in your retirement account, but if you've got $25 million worth of debt, it's probably not going to look,
not great.
You could have 500,000 in your retirement account, but if you've got no debt and a guaranteed income, through whatever sources it may be of $5,000 a month, but you only need 4,000, guess what? You're going to live a pretty nice. I mean, it all comes down to the individual. There's nothing wrong with having a goal to attain a number, but that number cannot be your driving force as you head towards your retirement years.
And what I would say is, why is it that we always take a look at there's got to be a certain number for everybody? Mm-hmm. Mainly because if you look at the media on TV, there's commercials on there that has a big number over your head as you're walking down the street, which is different than somebody else's down there. So we've been kind of tuned to thinking that way. But my bigger question is, if you're worried about you're not going to reach it, what kind of plan do you have to reach that? Because you can have a plan to have $1 million when you retire. And if you're thinking about this at age 60, it's going to be a far more difficult situation to get to than if you're at 25. So you have to have a plan. You have to have a goal. So what is that plan to reach that goal is very important. And I would also say to most people, they need to understand this is not a program or a project that you tackle by yourself, because unless you've been trained to think this way and back engineer what you're trying to accomplish, without that, it's going to be very difficult for you to attain.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these studies that are showing about $1.5 million is what people feel like they need to get to. But, once you get to retirement, it's all about the income, because that number is up 15% from the last year, and it's up 53% from 2020. So we're on this trajectory, and things are getting more expensive. That's called inflation, and you see different things in and out of the news of, it's at X percent. Well, there's another thing called real life inflation. Go to the grocery store, go buy a vehicle. Those are things you have to focus in on. So the magic number for everybody is going to be different. There's some people, Scott said, you can retire on 500,000. There are people who can retire with 100,000, right? It's all about your debt management. If you don't have any debt and you've got pensions, multiple pensions, Social Security, you can live those retirement years. But you do need accumulation to produce income, and that's what's important. So if people are trying to chase $1.5 million or 1.46 or whatever study you're taking a look at, usually that comes along with risk. And if you are 50, 55, 60 plus years old and you want to retire soon, what's that going to do? If we take a downturn in the market, you were chasing $1.5 million and now you're at 750. So how much longer is it going to take for you to retire? So you do need to have accumulation. It's kind of a delicate balance of you want to make sure that you've got a good pot of money to pull the income from, But as you're approaching retirement or in retirement, the investments that you have or the vehicles you may have might need to look a little bit different.
And I would also say to anybody out there, you need to understand in your retirement, whatever that number is, you also have to have a plan for maybe healthcare expenses, because that's probably one of the fastest growing expenses you're going to have in retirement, when 60% of your medical bills in your lifetime is going to incur the last 5 years of your life. The other thing is, believe it or not, there's 20 to 30% of the population out there do not realize that their retirement income is going to be taxed, because they think they're over the border of age, and all of a sudden, guess what? You still have to pay taxes based on income, not age or retirement status.
Would you say that it is, I don't want to boil it down to a simplistic statement here, a number that is more important to focus on rather than that total balance in your retirement accounts is what that translates into as far as annual income or monthly income, if you're going to be able to sustain that lifestyle? Would that be the thing that people should focus on more than an actual overall balance?
Oh, absolutely. That is very important, because guess what? We don't stop paying our expenses when we retire. It would be nice, but if we need $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 a month, that's what you have to focus on is, hey, how can I obtain that income and sustain it through my retirement years?
I mean, most people's dream retirement isn't to stop working on January 1 and then on January 2 sit at home for the next 365 days and watch Netflix. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that a little bit, but most people want to experience some life in retirement without the burden of going to work for 40, 50 hours a week. You want to do things. You need to have an income to support that. And as Tim said, even beyond, the stuff you want to do, you've got to have a paycheck coming in to keep the lights on, keep gas in the vehicles, things of that nature.
I would think they need to focus more on what their life dreams are, what their expenses are, and if that's $5,000 or $10,000, how are you going to get that to you? That's more important, in my opinion, than that $2.5, $3 million, whatever it is that you want. Because guess what? It may be there when you get there. It may not be, but you need to have some type of roadmap to get you to that point where you're able to do the things that you want to without the worry and stress of where's all this going to come from.
And then make sure that when you do have that income is secure. It's not going to get wiped away because of some event that you don't have any control over. So having a secure income stream is paramount in retirement.
And the most important number we haven't talked about yet is the number of memories you want to make with your kids, spouse, grandkids when you're in retirement. Because we talked about it before, and Scott just brought up Netflix. Nobody wants to sit around and watch TV all day, right? Number one, right now, if you watch TV all day, you're going to get depressed.
Yeah.
Get on the news, things are just depressing. So you don't want to retire that way. You want to create memories, whether that's to take a cruise once a month, whether it's to travel overseas, whether it's just to play golf or whatever it is. You want to create those memories.
But the other thing I would say to everybody is the first 5 to 10 years of your retirement is going to be what we call your active years. So you can get to do all the things that you want to do because you have the health to do it, for most people, not everybody. And I saw that I think it's somewhere around 10,000 days is the average time that you live past 65. So in those days, how many times are you going to be able to enjoy those? So the first 5 to 10 years, you're going to be able to do anything that you want. You probably got the most money that you'll ever have. The next 5 to 10 years, it's probably going to be, I got the money, I just don't know if I want to do it. And then there's the last portion. You don't have the desire, you don't have the health, and you can't do anything that you want.
And in those situations, I've seen that drawn out kind of like a valley or an inverted bell curve, where at the very beginning, we all spend more money on Saturdays, and when you first set out in retirement, those are every day is a Saturday. So you're going out there doing the things that you dreamed about, and then as you pointed out there, Ralph, those next 10 years or so, maybe staying closer to home, and then as you get further along in life, healthcare expenses can cause that to go up. So that annual income that you're going to need is not going to be the same every single year. It's going to fluctuate, and so you want to have a plan that can account for all of these things. And as you all pointed out, you want to make sure that it is something that you've got that income coming in regardless of what the market is doing. Because here's the thing, The electric company doesn't care if it's a down market. The grocery store doesn't care if it's a down market. You're still going to need to eat. You're still going to need to keep the lights on. You need to have a plan in place. So yes, it is more important to focus on that number, that annual income, that monthly income that you can have coming in. And it is a bit more complicated than just looking at the bottom line of your 401k statement or things like that. Luckily, the team at Welcome Home Financial Partners, they're here to help you get to, through, and beyond retirement by creating that retirement roadmap with you. And when there are changes down the line, if it is a healthcare expense, if it is a tax increase, if it is a market event, being able to say, okay, we've been taken off course for whatever reason, here's how we get back on track. It all starts with putting that plan together, and that starts with setting up a time to speak with them. Go to welcomehomefp.com, reach out. It's right there in the podcast description, take you there. Whether it is coming into the offices, whether it is scheduling a time and attending their First Friday events or any event they've got going on, just sitting down and speaking with them is the next step beyond just listening and getting the insight here, figuring out how it all works for you. welcomehomefp.com. I want to thank you for joining us here on this episode of Aspire to Retire. Always appreciate you guys taking the time. Just by listening, you're showing you're taking your retirement seriously. The next step is, finding out how it works together for you. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. Gentlemen, hope you have a great week ahead of you. Thanks so much for joining us. And as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with the final word.
Yes, thank you, Chris. So, if you're listening to this and you have caught yourself chasing that magic number and you're kind of unsure of where you want to go, pick up the phone, give us a call, visit the website. We'd love to sit down with you and talk through some retirement strategies, maybe some guaranteed income. But once again, it's time to focus on the income in retirement. And we appreciate you listening.
All content is for information purposes only. It is not intended to provide any tax or legal advice or provide the basis for any financial decision, nor is it intended to be a projection of current or future performance or indication or future results. Opinions expressed herein are solely those of Welcome Home Financial Partners and Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC. The information contained in this material has been derived from sources believed to be reliable, but is not guaranteed as to accuracy and completeness and does not purport to a complete analysis of the materials discussed. All information and ideas should be discussed in detail with your individual advisor prior to the implementation. Each individual investor's situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstance. Advisor services are offered by Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Virginia. Being registered as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. Insurance products and services are offered through WPI Holding, Virginia Insurance License Number 138509, an affiliated company. The information contained herein should in no way be construed or interpreted as a solicitation to sell or offer to sell advisory services to any residents of any state other than the state of Virginia or where otherwise legally permitted. Welcome Home Wealth Advisors, LLC and Welcome Home Financial Partners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency.